Frustrations are growing over the closure of the left lane of the N1 South in Centurion. This follows the massive sinkhole that emerged over the weekend. Sanral has since called in geotechnical specialists to help with the assessment. At this stage, it's unclear when repairs will be completed. To shed some light on this, I'm joined now by the agency's Northern Region Manager, and that's Progress Hlahla. Progress, thank you. I appreciate your time. So just a brief update on the situation. My understanding is that it's on the N1 South, close to Bota Avenue. The pictures look really dramatic in terms of the sinkhole itself. It's not on the road as far as I understand, and you can correct me, of course, but it has concerned you enough to close the left lane.
Yes, correct. Good afternoon to you and to your listeners. The sinkhole developed in what we call the road reserve, which is the space between the edge of the road and the fence line. So when we assessed the situation, we realized that there were some cracks that were developing on the pavement on the road itself. And as a precaution to keep our motorists safe, we then decided to close some of these lanes. So as your colleagues and listeners would appreciate, the information of sinkhole can be sudden. And it's not always possible for you to have visual signs that a sinkhole is going to form. So when it forms, then you have to take immediate action to make sure you preserve lives there. This is why we have taken action that we have taken.
And while you have closed some of the lanes, one or two, I don't know, you'll clarify. What exactly are you doing, though, to remedy the situation? What can you do?
Okay. So as I answer your question, so briefly, the sinkholes form because we have Dolomite rock that dissolves in water. So one of the key measures one takes when you say sinkhole is to divert water from forming or worsening the situation. So that has been done. We've taken in measures to divert runoff from the area of the sinkhole. We've also taken measures to develop new drainage channels further down so that we keep water away from the sinkhole. When we assessed, there were quite some large cracks that were developing in the pavement. We took action to seal those cracks to prevent further ingress of water into the pavement layers. So that has all been done. So now we also brought in some specialists to assist us in some of the work that we are doing. But we then realized that because of the nature and the position of this particular sinkhole, we need to do more specialized studies, including things like using the use of ground penetrating radar or geosensing, just to understand more in terms of the cavity that is under there that has actually caused this sinkhole. We want to know its size so that it informs us on the solution that we're going to put there. There are quite a number of solutions depending on the size of the cavity that one can actually explore and utilize. But before we do that, we need more information. This is what then is affecting our progress in terms of the sinkhole repair.
So for many of us, when you mention the word Dolomite, it worries us because we've learned over the years, not being, geoscientists ourselves, but we've learned over the years as people with an interest in infrastructure development that it doesn't bode well for development of infrastructure. Hence, situations such as what we've been seeing in areas like Khotsong, where the sinkhole situation has been developing for decades really now, partly fueled by Dolomite. So you may be making the interventions that you just mentioned, diverting the water away from that sinkhole area, but also drainage improvement and ground penetrating radar work that you are doing, those studies. But it seems to me that you have a bigger problem because Dolomite, this may be a recurrent problem. You may deal with it now, but actually it may recur. Am I correct in that thinking?
Yes, the risk of recurrence will always be there, but it's not. We do have mitigation measures that we actually can put into place. So when we, for example, are investigating this particular sinkhole, the idea is to not only concentrate on the sinkhole itself, but expand the area of investigation so that we see if there are any other potential sinkholes that are not yet evident on the surface but are forming underground. If there are such sinkholes, if such sinkholes are existing, one can do a process we call capping, in which basically we use a reinforced concrete slab or pavement that one can use to go over the sinkhole so that you can still have a road and you can still drive over it without it affecting you. So there are solutions that one Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm completely out of time, but I want to squeeze in a quick question that says, road users, naturally, you know, you have processes and your own considerations, but for us ordinary road users, we are thinking, when can I look forward to proper flow of traffic on the N1? While you answer that, please also add in the issue of how many sinkholes are you dealing with in your region, because some reports put the number as high as 41. So those two, expected date of reopening of the closed lane, but also how many sinkholes are you dealing with?
Okay, so unfortunately at this time it's still very difficult to give a date in which we'll be done with construction. So it will take us a bit of time to finalize the designs that we're finalizing, and then to look into constructing the layers that we need to construct, and then reopening the lanes. So unfortunately for the motorists, I do not have a timeline as yet. Only safe to say from Sanral's side, we are treating this with the utmost urgency. Hence, you have seen the quick reaction. Now, in terms of the number of sinkholes that one is dealing with, it's difficult to say in terms of the entire province, but for the Sanral network, we do not have that high number. I think we only have another one on the RFI41 and one on the N12, which we're actively monitoring, and we're quite advanced in terms of the process that we have implemented there. But I assume the high number comes from sinkholes that are existing within Gauteng, but in other areas of jurisdiction where, for example, maybe the municipalities will be in charge.
All right. Thank you for your time.